My God, what did I get myself into? Uh, What's up, guys? Today I am going to be embracing my full YouTuberness, I suppose, because I'm taking on an art challenge here. So something you guys have probably seen a lot from artists on YouTube is that they take on this figure drawing challenge or some sort of challenge, right? But where you draw 100 figures and then you see if you improve at the end. Now, sure, the question that you guys have had watching those videos and probably now watching this video is just generally going to be, is it worth it? And I promise you, I will get to that question. I will answer it. But first, I kind of wanted to approach this video a little different than how I've seen others. First, let me explain a little bit about what's going on here, just so you guys have a little bit of a background. Right now, I am doing 100 figure drawings, but I'm not doing it in terms of like some of these are 2 minutes, some are 5, some are 10-minute drawings, right? They're all 1-minute drawings. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to set a boundary and see if I improve within that boundary. Really quickly, if you guys are wondering where did you source the references for this, well, I've shown you guys in previous videos, there's tons of websites where you can go and find some gesture drawing stuff and you can set it to whatever you want it to be, right? This one's pretty cool because it has landscapes and animals. You can set your timing and all that stuff. But what I used for this video was Croquis Cafe. Now, I pay for an account for Croquis Cafe. It's a paid source now. It used to be on Vimeo for free. But what they do have is weekly videos that they update. They have Figuary, where they do a new video every single day of February, and then you can post it and you get some social media credit if you tag them. And then what I use was similar to what the other sites I just showed is, but they have a source called Fast Sketch, and you can go in here and you can really select a lot of good stuff. Just to show you what I selected for this one personally, I made sure it was full body only because I didn't want to deal with any kind of, bust or portraits or anything like that. We're looking for a gesture figure. I didn't really change anything else other than props. I said no props because I just didn't want to focus on that for this. And of course I set this to 1 minute. Just to be clear, Croquis is not a sponsor, but would be cool if they were. So Josh, we're already 2 minutes into this video and you haven't told us about how this video is going to be different than the other videos on YouTube doing the same thing. It's always to the point with you guys. All right, I respect it. So how we're going to make this different is in order to grow with something, no matter what the challenge is, no matter what the task is, you got to set some goals. Now let's pause on this for a second because no, I'm not trying to say that these other videos where they do the same exact thing are not accomplishing some sort of goal or getting to a point, and I also don't think that those videos are any less valuable for what they are. However, if I just took those videos at face value and then just did that challenge, I just drew 100 figures like I did here, and then I sat back and I was like, what did I learn? The answer would be nothing. How would I have learned anything if I just drew 100 figures but I had no purpose in doing that? So what I want to give you guys is really the idea of how to take this challenge and then make it your own and gear it towards what you specifically want to learn and how you can actually get something really valuable out of the lesson. I don't know about you guys, but even at 1 minute a pop on these figures, it's still pretty time consuming to do something like this. You got to gather resources, figure out all that stuff, and then eventually draw it all. And then if you want to, compile it all into one page. So it's still a pretty big time consumer. So let's make sure that time works for you. Now let's jump back to some goals. Now your goals are going to be a little bit different than mine, and you can really gear it to whatever you want. But the goals I set personally for myself first was getting through the whole figure. Now remember, I'm dealing with 1 minute figures here, and you can set the parameters wherever you want for how long you want those figure drawings. But for 1 minute, getting through the whole figure, I mean, that's a pretty good challenge in itself. And I'm talking fitting in the arms and legs as well, not just having floating torsos. Now, the other goals, they kind of fall along these parameters. They all kind of have like a little bit of a cohesiveness to each other. The second one was big sweeping lines. What I meant by this was that I wanted to be able to draw a nice big sweep down, maybe from like the top of the torso through the leg. This was something that was going to get me through the figure. It was going to stop me from overthinking and focusing on certain details, like if I get stuck on the face or the body or whatever. It was going to move me down to the bottom of the figure so then I could kind of figure my way back up and have a complete figure. Third is shape design. Now, we really don't have that much time here to obviously embody our graphic designerness. We're working with 1 minute. But in that time, I can also realize that I don't have the time for proportions and anatomy, and getting something that kind of has a little more energy to it, a little more movement, excitement, and kind of feels nice to look at is something that I can more easily achieve than trying to get some anatomy on a figure in 1 minute, right? So shape design was really important to me. And last, really big one here, I would suggest you guys all add this one onto your list as well. Don't overthink it. This is a really tough one, and it does fall into the categories of the other three I mentioned, but you just want to really make sure that you don't get so stuck on a detail here, especially if you're going to follow me and do some 1 minute ones. Of course, if you're expanding that time, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you have some time to get some detail in there. But with 1 minute, it's really just about the gesture, just about the movement and energy, and showing you guys what's happening in as little lines as possible. All right, so we got through the goals, and now we get to just focus on what we're drawing. So you just want to keep the goals in mind. Don't let them hold you back, right? They're not your crutch. You got 100 drawings to get through. If you forget on a few, it's absolutely okay. And I think I would say also, do not go into this if you are someone that can't accept the fact that you set those parameters for yourself because you have not yet achieved those parameters in your own art, right? So, one of the hardest parts of, well, really anything but art is the fact that we have to accept in order to grow, we need to experience some failure because we have to learn from our mistakes. So with these goals, these were things that I struggle with, and I'm open about that. So looking at this here, am I achieving a grand sweeping line from top to bottom on every pose? No. Am I completing every single pose, right? One of my goals was head to toe, full figure. Not on every single one of these. I'm definitely overthinking some of these, which is another goal of mine. And that's exactly why I set those goals, right? It's something that I'm struggling with. And I think we all think we're comfortable with that. We all think we're comfortable with pushing ourselves. We're all tough. But when it actually comes to it, sometimes we don't actually get there, right? So I think really that's going to be the greatest outcome from here is kind of letting yourself be vulnerable with yourself, right? You don't have to throw it out there like I am right now, but to realize what your weaknesses are and like fully embrace them for as long as it takes to complete this drawing session. So as you can see here, we're starting to get towards the end of my 100 figures. I started to get a little bit faster. I did take breaks, by the way. I don't want you guys to think that this was all because, 100 figures is about 100 minutes. So that's a little under 2 hours, right? So I would have had to just consistently draw for just under 2 hours, and that wasn't happening. So I took a couple breaks. I did take like a longer break after I got to almost like 70 poses. And I came back with like some sort of like mental clarity, and I was just able to kind of like drop some of that beginning coldness, that like overthinking, and just kind of like dive in and like let these poses develop as the shape designs that I really wanted them to develop as, and not get stuck on anatomy details or whatever it might be. So hopefully with these ones, as you guys can see, I start to kind of just get a lot looser. When I get loose, one of the things I notice that I do is I make ankles really, really thin. And I don't know, something about it. I really like that shape design. And it's something that I can only let myself do when I loosen up. And it's something that I would love to see more in my everyday natural work, or like, my personal work or whatever it is. But, again, that's why we're here. That's why we're working on it. And I do think that this challenge does have some value, right? So I guess that brings me back to the first point. Is it worth it? And really quickly, the reason there was no video for like a tiny segment there was I forgot to hit record. But anyways, yes. So everything that I just mentioned, I do think that it makes it worth it. I absolutely do. So as long as you go into this with the right mindset and you go into it determined to accomplish a goal. And we also acknowledge too that 100 figures, it might sound like a lot, but it really isn't. Over the course of your drawing career, your lifetime, 100 figures, what does that add up to? It's really nothing. I have probably drawn thousands in art school alone, and since then I can't even count, right? So you just want to be realistic with your goals as well. I set these goals, but my goal was not to come out of this and be like, that's it. I now know how to do long curving lines, right? So just be realistic with yourself. But I do think that this challenge does have merit. It has value. I see why so many art YouTubers are doing it. So if you guys are willing to take on the challenge and put yourself through it, then I think you'll come out on top pretty good. One of the things I want to mention too is the fact that, if you're going to take on longer poses, well, just give yourself a longer time span. So I did this because, I can do 100 drawings in a one day for a minute. But if you guys are going to do 3 minutes, 5 minutes, maybe a mix, a variation, right? You're going to switch it up. Well, you might want to do it over a little bit more of a course of time, but really important, don't let yourself go weeks without doing it. It should still be in a contained amount of time. So I would say, honestly, don't go more than a week, because you're not going to see the growth of the challenge if you go beyond that period of time. So if you need to split it up, like 15, 20 a day, whatever you got to do, you can do that, but just make sure you're consistent. So we're going to wrap up here, and I'm going to show you my freaking, Where's Waldo screen of all these figures. All right, guys, and that's a wrap on that. So here we have it. I mean, I accidentally ended up drawing 108 or 109 figures when I came back from my longer break. I just kept going and I lost track, and I was like, wait a sec, I should probably recount, and that's why you see all these teeny tiny numbers on here. It was quite the challenge. It was more of a challenge to fit all these figures onto one page. But I hope you guys enjoyed this experience. Of course, this took me a lot longer. I sped this up, but I would love to see if you guys take on this challenge. Let me know in the comments below if you do, what you learned, what were your goals? What goals, if you were to do this challenge, would you set for yourself? That might even be the best place to start, is thinking about what goals do you have to accomplish still. If you guys would like to see me take on this challenge, doing a different variation in time, maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or even longer poses, let me know. And if you guys want to set some goals too, like something that you want me to see or try to accomplish within that next challenge, I would love to see that too. And I would love to take on those goals so that I could help you guys achieve them as well. For now, we did it. 109 or so figures down. Challenge complete. I feel like I knocked into some of my goal. So I think we're going to call it a day here. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.